Hello, my fascinating Renaissance friends. Welcome back to episode 194 in our Reflections and Lessons series in my season of life with Miss Malu Cervantes, 60 years and beyond, and aging gracefully, aging wisely, aging elegantly. And we're still working out or navigating what it means to live la dolce vita, the good life. And I was, blessed enough to spend 2 months vacation in the U.S. visiting children with our children, and also with, with sisters, with a sister over there because we didn't have time for the other sister who lives in Houston, Texas. Okay, and we're doing a chronological journey and, an audio journal because I'm sharing with you my experience, not in places, not just in places where we've been, but always in relation to uh, the memories, that were triggered, and the lessons that somehow I've learned along the way. Huh? So I said, we started with C. That will be Miami and Bahamas and the cruise ship, to snow, where we experienced really a very bitter winter in New Jersey and New York, but we had fun. And then, okay, we had, we had sun and sand and sea in LA, when I visited our son there. And we're still in California, okay, this time with my sister, with my younger sister. My older sister, before we got a half sister. When my mom died, my dad remarried, and so now we have a half sister, the youngest. She lives in Texas, but we didn't have time this trip to visit her. We visited her 2 trips, before. I still didn't have this YouTube channel, so I wasn't able to share with you my reflections during that trip. This time it's Sacramento with my sister. Well, Sacramento is 2 hours, from San Francisco. We've been to San Francisco many times before, and so I told my sister, we don't need to go back to San Francisco. Okay, I just want to explore, Sacramento, and she said, "Ate." Ate is a term of endearment in the Philippines that means eldest sister, eldest sister. Okay, I just know where you want to go. Because even if we bring you to new places, you will always ask for it. And she was correct. For me, Sacramento is wine country. I told you, I love wine. So, we talked about what's the difference before, the difference between a Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon, or difference between Zinfandel and Pinot Noir, things like that. So really, 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 I love. So it's Napa Valley then, she said. Okay, but so I was thinking, I've been in almost all vineyards in Napa Valley and Sonoma County, but this time it was something very different. And what is that? Instead of just going to Pear Winery, because every winery would have its own way of cultivating the grapes, and we would always get the package where they will tour us in the vineyard, show us how the vines are cultivated and then are harvested, and how the vats would be the cellar, the cellar under, and we would have wine tasting after that. So Pear Winery, you will have their own special wines, like from Beringer to Coppola, to Vintui and all of this. No, this time it was very different. That we will ride a train, a very special train. It's called the Wine Train Tour. So it has its own tracks. Okay, it's a vintage train. It's just really like being in Orient Express, where you would have these horror movies. Anyway, it's a vintage train, and then and then you will have tables where you are served, okay, serve food, and of course wine of your choice. The difference there is that the route will take it. It will now visit visual. We will, we won't stop. But visual, we will pass all the wineries, the family owned wineries, not very well known, the well known, wineries like Chateau Helena, I think, yeah. All right, Monte Helena, there, Chateau Monte Helena, okay, which won the best Chardonnay, in a contest with the French, with the French variety and things like that. So it's Monte Helena, yeah, I remember. So there will be an annotator there. This wonderful ladies. Okay, they will say, oh, on your right there is a Chateau Montelena. On your left, like this, and that kind of stuff. While we are enjoying our specially prepared, full lunch. Or what we call a table dot, okay, and things like that. That was a wine tour. And this time it was different in the sense that it's just two couples, me and my husband, my sister and my brother-in-law. Okay, because we are both empty nesters. See, she has two kids, two nieces to have their own families, one in San Diego, one very near her place. And just like us, we are also empty nesters. So it's a very, very different experience because there were no kids. Unlike in LA, we have to adjust to the schedule of these kids, their basketball practices and their school, and there's playground and things like that. This time is different. It's just us adults, and then enjoying ourselves, buying wine, things like that. So that's what and I would always remember, the time my sister and I we were growing up, and my dad used to say, "I have two daughters," because he was not remarried then because my mom was still alive. I have two daughters, and they're so different from each other. They go to two different colleges instead of one because he would always bring us. So can you imagine? He would drop me off in one, and then he would drop off my sister in another school. But basically, wonderful, wonderful, years growing up with my sister. Okay, I'm 3 years older than she is, but basically we were dressed up by my mom, in identical dresses, identical with hers. So it would be mommy and two daughters. You know that we belong to each other because all our dresses, are cut from the same cloth. Okay. All right. But even then we were so different. And so she loves to, she's American citizen. She's been there for ages. And every time before, when she was there, she would always tell me that, Ate, please come here, live with me, would always say that because, blah, 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 etc. And I would always say, no, Malen, that's her nickname. You stay there because I miss Malu, she's Miss Malen. Okay. So you stay there, I stay here. I go to America. You take care of me. You go to the Philippines, visit. I'll take care of you because that's the thing we have. But you know, from the time we were growing up, we were together. Even if we don't have the same interest, but then now in our senior years, in the autumn of life, we're still together and we're still going places. That time it was the wine train tour. All right. Next episode, it will still be in Sacramento, but a different place again. All right. So, my fascinating Renaissance friends, don't forget to, to like and subscribe as we, near the end of our, travelogue of travelogue with reflections and lessons with Miss Malu Cervantes here in my season of life, together navigating the autumn of life. Until then, goodbye.